All right, here we go. Are you ready?
I'm ready, Freddie.
Okay. Welcome to The Real Deal on Music and More with Mike Benigno, otherwise known as Beans. Mike has been a professional drummer and educator for 25 years. Credits include writing and drumming on Kelly Osbourne's CD, Shut Up, writing, producing, and drumming on Your Own from the TV show Californication, Season 4, Episode 10, band name Rhino Tank. He has recorded for Pink, Ric Ocasek, the Candybutchers, Mike Viola, That Thing You Do, vocals, and yours truly. We had a band together. Since moving to Las Vegas in 2013, has performed in MJLive for 7 years, as well as subbing on Rock of Ages for drummer Alan Childs from David Bowie fame. After Las Vegas closed its casino doors on March 16th, Benigno created TrueMusicLessons.com to help unemployed musicians teach online. He was a volunteer for the Kids of Widney High in Los Angeles and is a graduate of Tony Robbins UPW, as well as the Landmark Forum, Landmark Advanced Course, and the Landmark SELP. Wow. Holy cow!
I've done it all.
So fun. I love doing the announcements like that. So thank you so much for joining us. And one of the reasons, besides you being so dear to me and having the history that we have, I really also am so impressed and blown away by what you did right there, starting True Music Lessons at a time when people are freaking out. You stepped up, and I just love that. And the purpose of these conversations, the real deal on the philosophy is to show what's possible, expose people to other ways of thinking and being, and even get curious about what are other opportunities of thought, of emotions, of being, and beyond. So, thank you so much. And I remember what I was doing the last time I was with you. It was in Vegas. I was speaking at a conference.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So it wasn't a Tony conference. I was the keynote at, I don't remember which one in Vegas, but there's a few that I do out there. And I was fortunate enough to come see you perform before things closed down a bit.
Was that MJ?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
It was no. Well, you also do. What was the show that was before that?
Before MJLive?
Yeah, is it like in the same venue?
Oh, the rock show where I dressed up like Peter Criss and Kiss.
Yes. So I got to
video.
see you in your Peter Criss garb and all of that, and then you went off to change, and then we hung out for a while and caught up.
Oh yeah, that's right, man. That's funny. I have a video of putting on makeup and how to put on Kiss makeup in 12 minutes.
Was it like, was part of it a mask or something?
Well, I started off with a mask. I had a prosthetic mask made to my face, molded to my face, and then I cut it at the lips, and put that on. But after about a week, I really felt like a sellout. I was such a big Kiss fan. I was like, I can't do this to the Kiss fans or to myself. And the reason why we did that is each set was 15 minutes. So I'd be in the Heart set, and then I'd go off stage, and then another 15-minute act would start, like Meatloaf. And for 12 minutes, I'd run in, do the outline of the whiskers and the eyes, and then I go over to Gene Simmons' wife, the guy who played Gene Simmons, his wife, and hold my hair back, and then she would just spray the white. And we did full makeup in 12 minutes, put on the costume, put on a wig, went out there and started playing Detroit Rock City. It was awesome.
When you played the other, do you have a particular garb for Heart or that kind of thing? Or was that less, dare I say, theatrical, like? Yeah, well,
I wore the Kiss outfit underneath the shirt that I would wear for Heart.
Okay.
So I'd go into the dressing room, take it off, and I had my Kiss outfit.
Did you have to wear the big shoes?
No, you can't play drums.
I know. So I was going to say, like, how do you? Did you have? But you would go and you got off stage and you would meet because I believe
we were doing.
Since I saw you on that was probably the last set.
Yeah.
And then I saw you guys come out and say, "Hey," to people watching the show. Would you wear shoes for that?
Then I would put on the boots.
Okay.
Those were hard to walk in.
I'll bet. Now, do you have those? Are you able to keep them? Like the show's still going on, right? I mean, in theory,
the show closed after 9 months.
Oh, but MJLive was still going, or
MJLive has been going up until recently for 7.5 years.
How long have you been in it?
7 years.
Wow. Right on. So
the longest job I've ever had.
Right? That's amazing. And do you have any news? Like, is things gonna reopen? Are things gonna reopen?
The casinos are opening on June 4th. I think they're going to have a capacity of 50%. There's no shows opening right now, so there's no showrooms opening. That might be phase 3 or phase 4.
Okay.
So, we'll see. My new favorite expression. We'll see.
Right. So walk us through a little bit, like how, because I mean, you're in great spirits right now. I mean, I know you've been focusing on True Music Lessons. Where was that moment when you made that decision once they closed everything down? Like what happened for you? Like, how did you find out? What emotions did you go through? And then how did you turn that into your new focus?
Okay. I'll tell you. You know who Bob Proctor is?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So watching Bob Proctor videos and doing Bob Proctor meditations, because we were about 2-3 weeks into the lockdown, and I had been going full on for 7 years, 6-7 nights a week, 4 hours a night sometimes, often, learning 30-40 songs a week sometimes. So any downtime that I had was just pretty much me being on my iPad, going through YouTube, not even listening to music and anything. So when the lockdown happened, it was pretty shocking, right, for everybody. So for me, I need to reach out to find some sort of inspiration. And I came across some Bob Proctor videos on YouTube. I had no idea how that popped up. I didn't know who he was. And
before that you hadn't. So for those who are maybe not, most people probably do know who he is, because if you're listening to this, you're probably on the path of personal development. But yeah. Bob has been around for ages, and he was one of the original sort of creators of The Secret. He was one of the main guys in making that happen. Yeah.
And he's a big advocate of Think and Grow Rich.
Yep.
Carries around a book that he had since the 1960s. And he's always like, here's my original book. Study this book.
Yep. Yeah, I remember Tony Robbins talking about that. And when he was first on his journey, he talked to one of his very wealthy friends and asked for advice. And he said, his friend asked him, have you read Think and Grow Rich? And Tony said, yes. And then his response was, how many times?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So go ahead. So you're meditating on going through Bob Proctor stuff.
Right. Yeah. And I just had an epiphany. I don't remember exactly what was said, but I just had an epiphany. Like, I'm not one to just sit around and wait for whatever's going to happen for maybe to get unemployment or whatever. I had a good cushion of money for several months, but I knew I had to take action for myself and for other people, and if I do stuff for myself, like TrueMusicLessons.com, if I do it solely like I need to make money, it doesn't inspire me enough to do it. But right. If I have other people like I do on the website and that are teaching, I feel accountable to them. That motivates me. That inspires me.
True team. Like you're still being like, it's kind of cool. Like you're
like a band.
Yeah, you're the holding the band together. You're the heartbeat of the band. You're the heartbeat of True Music Lessons. How cool!
Yeah. It is cool. It is kind of like a band. That's kind of like my whole life. I've always being in sports since I was a kid. I was always a team player. Being 15 and joining my first band, being a team player. I want to have a team, or like a family or a gang.
Yep. Totally. I mean, so interesting how you and I have taken our music and found ways to still be musical, even in the otherness that we do. I've shifted from making music, as a career to now helping people create music of their lives. And it's a very similar thing. I feel like I'm still kind of producing, I'm still orchestrating, I'm still finding the right pieces and helping people correct, find the right, bandmates. And, it's like bringing in hiring a studio musician. I remember when, we'd be doing something like, okay, who'd be the best drummer for this? Who'd be the best guitarist for this? Like their natural, innate contributions. We want them to bring in their absolute best to this project so that it has a life of its own. And that you're doing it right now. That's brilliant. And, I'm so blown away by, like just the fact that you're keeping on that mindset. Love it.
Thanks, man. It gives me a reason to get up.
Right.
And do something and work towards something. But as you know, it's been difficult. It's been challenging.
So have you been navigating? So what are some of the challenges you've had, and how have you navigated them?
The challenges that I've had have been, well, I first originally started this with using an app called Meathook. Meathook is a really, really cool app. Do you know what Meathook is?
I recall, it's a way that you can communicate, like you can share music and stuff at the same time, and it's like a meeting experience.
Well, it's kind of like, meet up and hook up. And it was created by a friend of mine, Anthony Cincinnati. And what it is the platform is mainly for rock stars and drummers, and you can pay a fee, let's say 20 minutes, 10 minutes, $20 to talk to Dennis Chamber, drummer. I think that's the new thing that's happening right now with Meathook. And you just go on the app, and it's a video like Zoom, and you can plug in. You can go on the calendar and hit the time and pay through it. So it's an all-in-one kind of thing. So when I came up with the idea, took about a week and a half of using Wix to do a website. I'm like, oh gosh, how do I do this? I built one and I scrapped it, and then I built another, and I kept on hitting these walls, man. And then once you walk away, and then you get back to it, and then you cross over that bridge and you hit a new wall. So being friends with Anthony, he's like, why don't you use my app, and we can, you don't have to do any maintenance really. You can use the calendar. You can, it's a really cool platform. It's video, and all the money comes through and all this kind of stuff. Do your payments. So I did that for a couple of weeks, but my soul was just telling me, my gut was telling me, you just need to take control of this entire thing. Don't be scared of taking care of the bills and setting up, talking to customers and doing all this other stuff that you have to do as a business. So I decided to start an LLC, my first LLC. I've done other businesses, small businesses, as a DBA, doing business as. So I went to LegalZoom, plugged in everything, called LegalZoom. They said, we're going to take care of it. Here's the money. All right, you do your thing. It'll take 15 business days. It took about a month because of not everybody's working in the government. And then, so now I have to open up a bank account. So the banks, this is where I ran into some challenges. So I went to a couple of credit unions, and credit unions were saying it's going to take 3 to 6 weeks just for the paperwork to go through.
Because of the lockdown and all of that?
Because of the lockdown, right. So 3 to 6 weeks to open a bank account. Wow. So I went to Chase. Let me go to a big bank. Here's something. This is funny. So I go into Chase, and Chase says, we're not accepting opening up bank accounts here. You have to do it online. So I go online, and I call Chase because I couldn't figure it out. And they said, you have to make an appointment and go into the bank. I said, okay. So I made an appointment. They're not doing it online. I made an appointment. The next morning, 11:30 is the appointment. 10:30, I got a call. Hi, this is so-and-so. We're not doing this right now. We're not doing bank accounts at the moment. So maybe in another week, or, So that was really, really frustrating. And back to a KISS connection, I posted something on Facebook about being frustrated with it. And the woman, Terry, who did my makeup, wife of the Gene Simmons character, told me to contact another Gene Simmons impersonator who works at this bank. I contact him. He can get it, I can get it done for you on Tuesday. Within just a couple of hours, just go to the bank, no problem. So I got my bank account. So now I'm waiting for my website to clear my bank account so I can start accepting payments. Hopefully Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, so I can do a complete relaunch of this thing.
Right. So share, like, going through that, there's opportunities. I share this story about the devil having a tag sale. I don't know. Have you heard the story about the devil and the tag sale?
No. Tell me.
So one day the devil decides to have a tag sale. He's just cleaning house. He's got all of his weapons of destruction that he's ready to make some new ones. And so he sets him up, right? And he's got the spear of jealousy and the mace of rage. And he's got all these crazy weapons. And he sets it up like, you go to the flea market and you see all of those knives and swords and all that stuff. You ever been to one of those? You see that, right? It's pretty cool. It's like pieces of art. So he's got him set up, and this demon comes along and he's looking at him. He's like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then he notices off to the side, there's this little wooden wedge. And he's looking at the price tags, and then he notices that the wedge is more expensive. This little piece of wood is more expensive than the rest of those weapons combined. So demon goes to Lucifer and was like, Lucifer, what the hell? But he goes, why is that little piece of wood? I mean, it's used. Like, look at the mace of rage. Like, it is like, it just looks so incredible, right? And that little piece of wood is more expensive. And devil looks at him and goes, you are a wise demon. He said, that is my most powerful weapon. My most used weapon. He goes, the mace of rage, that thing is heavy. Have you ever tried to swing the mace of rage? Man, you could hit you in the head. It's a disaster. That spear of jealousy is heavy too. And it's not that accurate. You got to be pretty close anyway. So why carry it around? They see it coming. But with that wedge, that is the wedge of discouragement. And all I need to do with a couple of notches of my ball peen hammer, wedge that in, the wedge of discouragement, and that soul is mine. And while you were building your process, and you're still doing it right now, you've had opportunities where the devil may have come along and given a little nudges of the wedge of discouragement. It's discouraging to hit those walls. It's discouraging to, go for these things and have the banks and have these people, and like these obstacles coming up can be very discouraging.
Yeah.
How did you continue, and do you continue when you have these setbacks?
I walk away. I make phone calls. I call friends. Take a bike ride. I've been since a couple of weeks in from the lockdown. I started meditating again. Haven't meditated in 7-8 years. Started meditating again to start my morning. Exercise has helped me a lot, because it just releases all those chemicals in the brain, that endorphins, so yeah. But mainly when I hit that wall, I'll just walk away from my desk, play some drums, make a phone call, reach out.
Beautiful. So basically you're just sharing exactly the strategies that I teach, which is change your state. Change your physiology, step away. Don't get sucked into the story, because when you get that wedge of discouragement, what happens? You start making up those stories. And unfortunately, I'm sure some of the people you call people who are more encouraging than discouraging as well. Yes,
but also everybody has their own problems and everyone's going through their own thing. So it gets me out of my head. It gets me out of self if I'm listening to someone else having a day.
Oh no, of course. I'm not suggesting, when I say discouraging, I mean someone like, all right, so as an example, when I first started getting into real estate investing, like, hey, I talked to someone I was close to and cared for, and, was kind of letting them know. And they were like, ooh, yeah, good luck with that. Real estate, I had real estate once, and man, I had some tenants and they caused some damage, and then, it cost me like $5,000 and, blah, blah, blah. But, oh yeah, good luck with that. Not very encouraging. It's not like they were telling me about their problems. They were telling me about like kind of justifying and showing me other reasons. Like, oh, you had a problem with that bank, man. I tell you what, starting a business sucks, right? You're like, oh, great.
Well, that's what happens. All that chatter.
Right. We have enough in our own head. Why do we need to talk to somebody else to like, reinforce the negativity that we already are dealing with?
Yeah. The voices of the past.
Well, right. Or the fears of the future.
Could be.
Right, because the voices of the past go, I hope that never happens again. And then they throw it into the future. Right. Now we have this temporal bind, like, oh, crap. Now what am I going to do? Right. So which is why these conversations are so important, because I'm sure that there are other people right now who, whether or not we're dealing with the situation we're in right now, who are starting a business, who are looking to get their lives to the next level, and they're hitting obstacles. And they, the purpose of this, these conversations are to show what's possible, that you don't have to give up. As a matter of fact, now's the time to step up. Now's the time to, double down on yourself, double down on possibility, double down on the resources that you have, within, and doesn't cost a dime to meditate.
No.
But that's where the brilliance comes, is when you're quiet, when you still the mind and you allow that to come in.
Yeah.
Amazing. So what's next? How, like, in regards to True Music Lessons, obviously when this comes out, there's going to be, more progress. What's your year goal, your 5-year goal? Like, what's your vision for this process?
Well, I'd like to see this go worldwide. I when I look at how many students do I want to have with, let's say, 20, if I have 20 teachers or 50 teachers, 500 students, 1,000 lessons a day. But I got to start with one at a time. Right now, I have a couple of teachers that are teaching through the MeetHook app, and
so you're still using MeetHook.
Still using that app. Yeah, for sure. And next week, I should be able to accept payments, and we'll be using Zoom or FaceTime or whatever, really, platform the teacher and student want to use. So, this is something that I decided when I start performing again regularly, I'm just going to continue to do this. Throughout my 40s, throughout my 50s, this is just going to be something that I do, teaching.
Well, as far as a business, it becomes passive income, because you don't have to do all the work. You can teach if you want to. Right. And with having the other teachers, which is brilliant, because there's so many amazing teachers, so many different styles, so many ways that people can, learn from different teachers as well. Like, how cool is that? Where you go, all right, I'm going to take a lesson from Beans, and now I'm going to take a lesson from, Tommy Lee or whatever, and be able to.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So have you started to leverage any of your contacts, letting them know about it? Is there any, like, how far down that path have you gone?
I came out of the gate fast and hard and started calling people and telling them about it. And a lot of my friends were really interested. But I pulled back when I decided to make this an official business, because I didn't want to lead students to have to go open up and use a different app and then have to change platforms again.
Right.
So I pulled back a little bit. There's a couple of teachers that are teaching right now. And right now I'm just really beginning to research online how to promote this thing. I have a few friends that are reporters here in Las Vegas. And obviously I have tons of friends who live in Florida, like yourself, and New York, that are parents that could help contribute, to parenting forums and things like that. Yeah, so I'll be reaching out to a lot of people.
Okay. Well, obviously, you know, I mean, I've already started to hook you up with some. And that the one connection, Mark and Laura, they'll be on the show too. They're big into like teaching already. Like they go to schools. Mark teaches, you know, he does the electric violin stuff. So
yeah,
they're
I would love to get a violin player. There's so many great violin players out here in Las Vegas. My only, what I'm thinking is, well, not what I'm thinking is, I've been told that because a lot of people are getting unemployment, that they just a little hesitant, you know, like, what does this mean for getting unemployment and teaching? Is that going to take away from my unemployment, you know? So, I don't really know.
Yeah. So
It's
interesting conversation, right? Because I do not believe in the welfare state. I believe in helping people.
Yep.
I believe that you want the kind of people who go, you know what, I'm going to feel better about myself, even if I'm getting a little bit less money, but I'm making a difference. I have a purpose and I'm adding value. That's who you want, because that's going to be sustainable. Those are the people who have the right heart. I personally, I would be a little concerned with someone who's like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that, because that might get in the way of my free money. I mean, like, I'm not sure your heart is in the right place for this. I don't like. You're not going to be creating raving fans for this organization for True Music Lessons. You're going to be thinking of this as a job. You know, and again, it's a tough thing, right? Because I get it. People are in pain. And if you have a sure thing of X amount of dollars and, you know, I get it. It's a tough one, right? Because that's, well,
you know, True Music Lessons is going to be here when that's over, when unemployment ends. True Music Lessons will be online. And
of course, and the people who get the early adopters, the people who get on board early are the ones who are going to have the most leverage when it takes off, because they will have the system down. They will have the reputation down. They'll have the reviews. I mean, the smartest thing right now is to get in early on something like this and be a supporter and be a raving fan of the organization and be like a founding member, as it were.
I have a couple of teachers that are like that are super motivated and just really, really psyched to be a part of it. Andrew Weir, his guitar player. McCall Tauber, she is a piano and voice teacher. I don't know if you know McCall. She had a record out on Columbia. I think it was in 99 or 2000. Me and Freddie Villano played with her. But as most artists that we know, people just get dropped back in the day, you know. Get a big record deal,
right? Yeah. How many bands were we in that just like the record never came out?
Vix Trolla. Oh my goodness. To the Moon Alice. Oh my gosh.
6. Right. So
are you going to release that stuff that we did?
So
it's so good. It was heavy.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Actually, I was I used a different thing that for the intro music, the intro and outro for the bumper, a thing that Dibs and I did. But I played some of the stuff because I got to find. So I've been thinking about this today or yesterday. At home in New York, I have all of my DATs from the digital audio tapes, and I have a Panasonic 2700 DAT player in New York. So I'm thinking of just taking those all down and just taking that, because the reason why I say that is I reached out to, I guess it was Richie Kanata, and I was like, dude, can I get my 2-inch tapes? And he's like, no, they've all been like, basically most of those, if they weren't owned by Rick or whatever, like they've all been destroyed. We're not paying them, you know, we're not Iron Mountain anymore. So I don't have the masters. So I was thinking, I'm hoping that on these DATs, I have like instrumental versions and stuff like that, because I'd love to use some of the music for the things, you know, for stuff like this. But that being said, I have used a couple of the songs, you know, like I did like a video for Heidi for one of for one. I don't remember which songs. Like you and Mike Boyko, like you each
played on some.
Yeah, so it's like half of it is you, half of it is Mikey B.
I don't even remember. I just remember the riffs and how they went.
Yeah.
I don't remember the titles.
Yeah. You don't have a copy anymore?
I have it on my old computer. So
okay,
I can stuff, please.
I can send you some what I have. I have all the songs. I don't have like instrumental versions and stuff like that.
There was one song. It was like doo doo, go go, bah, boom boom. And it just that's all I remember.
So I played that for Heidi.
Oh, no, what's that?
I played that for Heidi because the intro was like really like
That's it.
Yeah. And
that one.
Music California.
Speak.
Huh?
This is music speak.
Right. Yes, of course. Yeah, like that one. Right. And Heidi's like, that's too sexy. Like that shouldn't be your intro. It sounds too sexual. Because it is. It's got that like kind of bump and grind kind of the F shit. Like
yeah.
So. I'll obviously send this stuff to you, but I actually found even some other stuff before, like the first demo I ever made, the record that inspired me to get into production in the first place when I was 17 years old, did like, I guess it was an 8-track. It wasn't, it was like that old, maybe, no, it was a 16 track. And like, terrible reverb. It's like basically glam rock. It was like, late 90s, no, 80s. It would have to be, right. 80s. Oh my God, I'm dating myself. But so a friend of mine, the guy who's actually Dave Sussman. Do you know Dave from Bile?
Oh gosh, I recall the name. I remember Bile.
Yeah, so he's a guitarist with the really, really long hair.
I knew. Who did I know? No, the bass player.
Yeah, I only know Dave Sussman and then Chris Liggio, the guy, the creator of Bile. I went to high school with him.
Okay.
So Dave was in my band. It was called Soul Shaker.
And Soul Shaker.
Yeah, so that was us. And then he left us to go on the road with Chris Angel before Chris was Chris.
Yeah.
He was doing magic. He was doing all that stuff, but he was not like, I remember he was doing it. He was doing the music and the magic.
His drummer was my drum teacher, Mark Edwards. So I used to go see Chris at Chris Angel at Spit back in like 1990 or 91.
Oh, man. I remember playing Spit for me. That was a pinnacle. It was almost like I made it. I was like, we're playing Spit. We're playing Hot Rocks. We're playing L'Amour's. Like this was, I was like, yes.
Oh my gosh.
So here we are. We're not only dating ourselves, we're like geographically, sharing. These are all New York places.
Well, I don't mind dating myself. I'm actually really, proud and happy that I am the age that I am. I do a lot of traveling with MJLive and most everybody in the show. The dancers are like early 20s, mid 20s and stuff, so it's, I don't know. It's pretty fun to have stories.
Well, I'm just mentioning it because I think a lot of people like when we talk about something that was happening in the 80s, there's a lot of people who maybe like
80s.
They weren't even born. Like,
of course not. Yeah,
it's
well, funny. we did our recording in 94. I think it was.
Was that 94? Yeah. So it was 80s before that because that was. I mean, now that we were real players at that point.
Yeah. Or I was pretending to be. I was trying.
Dude, you've always been phenomenal. What are you talking about?
I didn't think, I did a record with the Candybutchers with Mike Viola. We did a record in 2003 at Bennett Studios in New Jersey. Do you know Bennett Studios? Mm-hmm. Run by Dave Bennett, Tony Bennett's son, Dave Bennett. Okay. Beautiful studio. I think it was in Englewood. And we finished the record and we listened back to the record. And at the time I was 31. And I thought for the first time, oh, wow, I'm good. I'm the drummer that I wanted to be. I finally became that drummer that, I'm a good drummer. I felt that way after playing in bands for 15, 16 years at that time. Yep. It took me that long to go, all right, this is good. This is something I'll show my grandkids.
Right.
You know?
And now how do you feel about your playing?
Oh, I'm better than ever. It's great.
Okay. Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I play, I constantly play. Now I just play. I talked about meditation. Now playing for me now is just 15, 20 minutes, get behind the drums. And it's just like painting. I paint too. It's just kind of a meditation. I pick up the guitar and I just get lost. And it's just a meditation. Everything's kind of just a meditation. It gets me out of my head, and then the ideas start flowing. And I don't even know what I'm doing or what I'm painting or what I'm playing.
Right.
Cool.
That's your genius zone. You're in that trance state where you're completely present and lost at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The genius zone. I never heard about that. Never heard that.
Yeah. That's what it is. Because that's when you're connected to, to divine, you're connected
genie.
to God, mother, whatever that is. And that is the ultimate genius. That is the supreme intelligence. And that's how we tap into it. I mean, Einstein talks about that. Tesla would talk about how, he would meditate and his ideas would just sort of come to him. And Einstein would talk about that state of imagination to just calm the mind and allow supreme intelligence to come in.
And trusting it.
Right.
Wow. I didn't know that Tesla did that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
If you look at all of the great teachers and all of that, they have some version of that.
Yeah.
And even to some people, like for me, like in the shower is like that for me sometimes, where I'm just like, I got the water, I'm just zoning out, and I'm like, okay, just have an idea and just allow that to percolate. And then also in the sauna for me, that's where I meditate, is in the sauna. And I am so bummed that they've opened the gym down here, but they're not opened the sauna yet for social distancing. And that was a huge part of my ritual, was getting in that heat and just kind of, using that as my time to meditate.
I wonder if saunas help kill the virus. Who knows? No one knows.
I'm sure one day they'll say yes, another day they'll say no, depending on who's saying it and who benefits from the fact it does or doesn't. Right.
Just like eggs.
Right.
Eggs are good. 5 years ago, they weren't good. Now they're good.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, everything was so crazy. And I've been noticing this, and there's a little bit of a rabbit hole around the extremities of opinions that are occurring now. Now, so growing up, looking at it as a music point, and then we can extrapolate from there. Growing up, I was, like at the end of the days of disco sucks, right? That was like the 70s, like early 80s, when I was now coming of age. I'm a young teen, and disco sucked, right? Were you part of that? Do you remember that?
I vaguely remember disco sucked.
Okay, so there was a thing, right? And I was into rock. Like, that was my thing. I was into metal. I was, long hair, all that, always into that. And growing up, for me, I grew up, and like everybody, I always felt like an outcast and nobody got me and all of that. So I did connect more with the rocking people. But if you were into metal, everything else sucked.
Yes.
So, there's always these extremity of opinion.
And there's different metal that sucks. If you like Metallica and you like Zeppelin, you can't like Metallica and Zeppelin. Come on.
Right. And then as we get older, right, and then it's almost like we got wiser. And then, when I got into production, one of the things working at Cove is I was so blessed to, like, during the week, we did all the pop records for Rick. And then on the weekends, I would be like the producer for the Weekend Warriors, who Richie would be bringing in. And there would be all sorts of weird music. Like I did a harp record. I did an Irish polka band. I did like all these weird kind of musics. And what I appreciated was the passion. That someone got into it, and I would never judge. I'd be like, wow, okay, I may not have chosen to buy something like this. I wouldn't necessarily listen to this music. I wouldn't go, it'd be cool, an Irish polka band. I'm going to get that record. But to make it and learn like what's behind it and the energy that the people were into was so powerful. And that's what I appreciate. And I got to this thing like, man, I don't care what kind of music is, as long as you're passionate about it.
Right. Passion is... That's the key word. I remember when Rick signed, I say us, me and Chris, to a publishing deal after we did Kelly Osbourne's record. He said, okay, we're going to do, I want you to write songs for Shakira. I want you to write songs for Celine Dion. And I'm going, Celine Dion? Okay, I gotta learn. I gotta start listening to Celine Dion. I gotta start listening to Shakira. And I did not like it at all.
It's hard to write for something you don't like.
I didn't get it. And I was learning Pro Tools at the same time. So it was all very, very frustrating. And in hindsight, I could have, I should have really just been true to who I was as a musician at that time, just playing single string, G, 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 and then D, 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 and recording that, because a lot of pop songs are written that way,
Right. And then you have like the producer come in and stick all the other funny stuff around it. And then all of a sudden
he has guys like you who make it sound awesome. You and Tom Yezi and Mark Russell, and Mark did great things too. Yeah. Good times back then. I ran it. I was doing a gig with MJLive about 2 years ago. And so, not Celine Dion, Taylor Dane opened for us.
Nice.
Isn't that crazy?
Awkward, but nice.
She did 2 or 3 songs, and I couldn't wait I hadn't seen her since I think Rick had a party in like 93. And Dee was there, and everybody was there. So that was my first like cool party to go to. And I'm like, oh my God, Dee Snider's here. Taylor Dane, holy cow. And I might have met you back then. So I walked up to her, right, like maybe after she got off, I don't know, and said, introduce myself. How you doing? I'm Mike, and started rattling off names. Tom Yezi, Cove Studios, Kanata, Rick Wick, all this stuff. Oh my God, she couldn't really talk, but I don't know. I think it actually touched her that someone from that era was around right there,
That's cool. Yeah, I every time she's kind of local, like it never works out, and for me to go see her, because I'd love to see her. I mean, we got along great. I love her voice. Like I remember the first time I recorded her, I was just like she was just in the studio. I wasn't even in the vocal booth. She was just like, oh, yeah, just give me a mic. Come on, give me a mic. Like she's sitting there, like she's so brash and like I just want to put a vocal down, and she just started singing, and I'm like, wow, there is no studio magicry happening. Your voice is amazing. Her instrument is incredible. The one regret, I never got to actually do a song with her. That was something that I wanted to do, like to find some sort of duet to do with her. And
to sing with her?
I would love to. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if our voices would mend well, but I'd love to find out. And still, there's still time. She's still singing.
She still is
blowing through some of the cobwebs, and I don't know if I could still do. I've been pretty close, like high D over high C, but in pure voice. But I've been warming up more, so I've been thinking of bringing it into my like speaking, like when I do events, to actually start performing in them.
Interesting. That's cool.
Dude, I have a whole idea, like my vision, like the sort of, my opus would be a multi-day event that is a combination of a musical and seminar, so that there would be a live band, there would be all of that, and it would be like a show. So it'd be a lot of allegory, but also doing the exercises, doing all of that, but have it be scored to a story throughout the whole weekend that sort of walks people through some of the challenges, but done in a performance. So there'll be singing and have a live band, and I mean, that's like my ultimate vision.
Wow.
I mean, I think it would be pretty cool. It's a daunting task, I would imagine, because, to put a show together, then make it a personal development experience, and more importantly, get someone to go, that sounds like a good idea, I'll pay for that.
Right.
I don't mean participants. I mean like an investor to go, okay, I'm willing to put up the funds to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's all about getting the right team together to
Right.
do something like that. Right before the lockdown, I had a show that I had written called Sex, Drums, and Rock and Roll.
There you go.
And I did a photo shoot, not with me in it, because I don't want to be the old guy in it, but I got a couple of models and well, dancers and who are models too, and a cool drummer, a friend of mine, and we did a photo shoot, and I started going around town and pitching it to different venues when everything stopped.
Oh,
so yeah, I'm traveling around that. I'm traveling through that right now too, just creating. I've come up with a story for a musical, and I've been writing, I mean, just a ton. I have 50, 60 riffs in my phone, and they're all very 90s, you know, they're all very like early to mid 90s, you know. So I've come up with this with a loose script for a musical that I want to do. So I'm traveling along that path too. It's pretty fun.
I know there'll be crossovers. Actually just reminded me, I think through happenstance, you ended up playing drums with another friend of mine out there, Dennis Blair.
I love Dennis. I play with him often. I just did a Zoom chat with him last week.
Yeah, so Dennis, we're trying to get a time for him to do this, but I did his first record. Well, I don't know if it was his first record. It was, but I think it was. It was called "Sleeping in the Rain," and I did that. He started out as one of those weekend warrior guys because he knew Canada, because he's from New York.
Yeah,
and so he would come. We became good friends. I still go see him when he performs. Every time I'm in Vegas, we get together. And when I saw him last time, well, not the last time I saw him, but I don't know how it came up, but I was like, oh, I should introduce you to my friend Beans. He's like, Mike Beans, he's already playing with me. I'm like, no way, this is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I recall correctly, Dee's son, either Cody or Shane, does like his videos or something.
I don't know.
There was some.
Really? I'll have to ask him.
Or no, maybe it's the other way around.
Dennis's son does videos. Does like videos.
Maybe it was that way. Maybe there was something that Dennis's son was doing with Dee or Dee's one of Dee's kids or something.
Dennis is a great songwriter. His music that he writes just gets better and better. He's super talented. He's a machine. It's so good and so real. You believe it. Yep. You know, I mean, a lot of artists that, you know, they'll sing and do their songs and you don't really believe it. I mean,
no, he's super talented and he's funny. Like, obviously, you know, his other thing is comedian. And I remember we were at Cove working on his record, and we were leaving because he was opening. He was like opening for George Carlin for like 17 years or something. Yeah. And so we were going to the Westbury Music Theater where George and he were performing. No way. We're leaving, and Lisa, the receptionist, was like, "Where you guys going?" Lisa. Yeah, and Dennis was like, "Well, you know, we're going to, you know, I got to work. Like, I got to, you know, open for George Carlin." She's like, "You're opening for George Carlin?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm a comedian." And she goes, "That's why you're so funny." It was just one of those like kind of natural moments where
and that whole exchange was funny.
Yes, exactly. I was just
I'm a comedian is funny.
Right. It was brilliant. I mean, it's just so cool how like some of these things come full circle, right? You're just sharing, you know, seeing Taylor and all that. I just talked to another friend of mine. Do you know Joe Cumia?
No.
Remember? You might have bumped into him. You remember Opie and Anthony?
Oh, Joe. Yes.
Yeah. So Joe is Anthony's brother, and he's in 2U, and he does tons of like tribute bands and like, you know, the high end, you know, tribute bands. And he had a residency for a number of years. Like every summer, he would be at Epcot in Disney. Mm-hmm. So a few years ago, right? I think it was his last year that Disney was having these tribute bands come. He was just playing, and I'm like, "Oh, that's 2U. I think, let me go down there." Went down and bumped into him and said hey and hung out. And it's such a cool world that we live in, that we can sort of bump into each other in those environments where it's like you see them still kicking ass, still, you know, adding value and helping people, you know, basically change their state. which is
Yes.
ultimately what we do. Is we are state inducers in our own way.
And you talk about being in cover bands. Like I was in for 20 years, all original music, touring and doing all that. And when I moved to Vegas, I just started doing covers. I haven't done any. Well, I've done some original music, just recording for friends. But I've become the drummer that I never wanted to be when I was in my 20s, you know, and I love it. I love it. I get to play drums for a living.
Right.
It's amazing. That is amazing. So, I mean, I had quit for several years because I was just burnt out by the business. Back in like 2007, 2008, 2009, I'd stopped playing, stopped performing, working at a rehearsal studio. How many mics do you need?
In Vegas?
You know? No, in Los Angeles.
Okay.
I moved from Manhattan to LA, and I was just burnt out. And I got an offer for a gig at Hotel Laguna in 2011. A friend of mine called me up and said, "Beans, I need you." Guy I grew up with. "I really need you on this gig, and it's every Friday and Saturday, and I have a contract for a year." And I said, "Listen, you need a 25-year-old. You need a kid. I'm done. I'm just trying to write and teach and just do that. I'm not performing anymore." He said, "All right." Calls me up 2 weeks later and he goes, "This drummer's not working out."
The 25-year-old sucks because that's who you were at 25. I don't want to play someone else's songs.
Right. Probably. And he's like, "I really need to." I said, "Okay, all right, I'll help you out. I'll do that." So that gig lasted every Friday and Saturday for a year. The gig ended. A month later, I moved to Vegas and started working within a month, full time, and haven't looked back. So it's interesting that like that was like a gift. It's kind of like those like The Godfather. You know, I try to get out, but they keep pulling me back in. Drumming and drums has really just been my best friend since I can remember, since I was 5 years old.
Well, let's talk about that short thing you just shared when you got burnt out, because I'm sure people get burnt out about stuff and they start forming a non-resourceful and negative relationship with that experience, and then you were resistant to it.
Yep. Yes.
How were you able to finally let go of whatever story you were telling yourself about that so that you could embrace this very healthy, very prosperous, very, like amazing relationship with drums that you just shared? How did you make that shift? Because I'm sure there are other people who may be there with other things right now.
Oof. Gosh, I was always a seeker. I was always really into Tony Robbins and got led into Landmark and a lot of different spirituality practices like Paramahansa Yogananda as self-realization in the Palisades, California. And just, I had to do a lot of self-work because when I moved to LA, I didn't like who I was at all. I didn't like who I'd become. I was disillusioned about my age, being 34, 35 years old and still trying to do something or be a rock star, or, because by the time you hit 27, 28, it should be over, right?
It's like football.
I told myself that story since I was 17. I was 17 years old, by the time you hit 27, 28, it's over.
Right. You either die like Jim Morrison or Janis Joplin, or you like metaphorically die and you become nobody.
Right. Which is why I think when I was 31 and we started writing for Kelly Osbourne, oh my gosh, I literally said, I don't want to be that guy who writes songs for celebrities just because they're a celebrity. Well, I manifested that. I'm not, all right, you're not going to do that. We're going to take that away from you. Even though you're working with Cara Diaguardi, the biggest songwriter in the world, or just about to become one. Sabotage, a lot of sabotage, because, bands breaking up and being homeless after To the Moon Alice and living on someone's couch in, Southern Pennsylvania going, what happened? After being dropped, this is not the way it was supposed to be,
Right. And
so I didn't really answer your questions because I don't really know how that came back to me. I just kind of, I got into surrendering. I just surrendered.
So, yeah, well, I guess that's what I'm looking for is what was the word you could use that would share and surrender is a letting go.
Surrender. That's my tattoo.
There you go.
Surrender to success, surrender to a higher power. The 100%, whatever. Yeah, yep. That's, and I have to do that on a regular basis.
Well, absolutely, and so right, you bring up a great point. Is that it's not a one-time thing. It's a discipline. It's a practice. It's the self-awareness is dynamic. It's not like you wake up one day and you go, "Oh, I know who I am," and then you're done. It's like, okay, I know who I am in this moment and my relationship with this moment. But there's going to be something coming in that I'm not prepared for, that I'm going to have to now reevaluate my relationship with that. And my awareness starts with who I am at my core and what it is that I am willing to accept. Right.
Yeah. Which is why I've been disciplining myself since lockdown to when I wake up in the morning, I do some reading, spiritual books or self-help books or whatever it is, do my meditation, have my coffee. I try to stay off the internet, off the news, off social media for at least the first hour. And sometimes I like to challenge myself and say, how long have I gone? Oh, I've gone an hour and a half today because I know.
Let's go for 2.
I know that my state is going to change like that as soon as I open up Facebook and I see what's going on in Minneapolis and all this stuff. Because, I mean, we're all sensitive human beings. I like to say, oh, I'm a sensitive musician or an artist and whatever. But I mean, we're human beings. We're all sensitive to this incoming barrage of negativity.
And so interesting, and God bless you for having that realization and awareness, is that at a time like this, when we are so isolated, when we can't go out and really distract ourselves the way we used to, that it is incumbent upon us to figure out new ways to protect the mind, to guard our mind and our heart and our spirit from all of that stuff. Yeah. And do you live with anybody?
Yeah.
So, okay. So there's a benefit there because you can at least, kind of distract each other in some way or form. But imagine people who don't, or people who the people they live with are not on the same page.
Yeah.
And hey, stop meditating. Come with this distraction, squirrel. Right. And then,
yeah, I had gotten divorced and was living in a house by myself. And last June, a year ago, I decided to move in with an old friend of mine who I've been good friends with for 20 years, who lives out here in Vegas. And she's like, I need a roommate. I was like, you know what? I don't want to be alone. And I'm so grateful that I made that decision because I wouldn't want to be alone during this time.
Right.
So.
Yeah. This is such a huge time. That's kind of the motivation behind me starting this up again to do this show is it's always been on my heart to seek out other leaders, other exemplars of overcoming, of reinventing, of figuring out who they are and how they can, because I've had to reinvent myself multiple times. And the only way I was able to do it was by modeling. Find someone else who's like, oh, they've been through that. How did they do it? Okay, let me learn what they did and what were they thinking? What was, so that idea of surrender comes up. Like, okay, that's, I had to learn that. And, for me, it was surrendering, like you shared, that identity of I'm supposed to be a certain way. I'm supposed, at such and such. I remember I didn't want to go to my high school reunion unless I was already a superstar. Because I wanted to show them. I was like, okay, you thought I was the outcast. You thought, blah, blah, blah. I'm not coming back. You guys sucked. You treated me like crap. And when I'm coming back, you're going to know it.
Yeah.
And of course,
I know.
what was interesting is I ended up going to I think it was my 20. And, by that time I had been, some modicum of success, some, not, the level, but, I working with Tony and all the records that we made and all of that. So like I had a history. So I felt at least confident enough that if it ever came up, like, well, I just got off the road with Tony Robbins, like, so at least that was something. And again, this is back still, back years ago in my 20. And what I found out was everyone grew up too. And their version of me, what they remembered of me was not the way I remembered it. Right. Our relationship wasn't as stressed as I thought it was. They didn't think I was like, an asshole or whatever. Some of them actually thought that they admired me for not, falling prey to, I was willing to be myself all the time, and they respected that. Now, granted, I think that's running through a filter of now adulthood where they could say, I always admired you. Now I can recognize it, but back then it came out as F you, to you, because kids don't know how to express themselves. But that surrender, I wish I had given up on holding on to a lot of that stuff at a lot of earlier age, so that I'd be more present to everybody. Yeah.
Well, yeah, me too. It didn't really, I mean, I got sober 13 years ago, and that was a pivotal moment for me, because I was going to meetings and in Hollywood with like celebrities. It was really bizarre. Mike Tyson, for one. I mean, amazing. And I didn't realize that I can, as a man, I could share my feelings with other people. It never occurred to me. I was just like a tight, wound up little ball, just like of just anger and angst and whatever was all those negative emotions,
Yeah.
So yeah, that.
And actually, Heidi and I were just talking about that, about like the nice guy syndrome, and that comes from bottling stuff in, right? Like, the fear is that if I share my emotions to that level, people are going to judge me or what have you.
Well, people were already judging me in my head.
Right.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. And the truth is, they were judging themselves as well. They were spending more time worrying about them than they were about you anyway.
Yeah.
And we don't come to that realization to later, and it still creeps up sometimes, right? Because like even having a conversation like this, like we're so conditioned to, I'm going to put it out on social media. I'm going to have people, have comments and all of that. And that was kind of what I was getting to earlier about the music and the passion and the polarization, and, metal is good, disco sucks, all of that. And it's so interesting how people today, it's not about music anymore. It's about politics, or it's about your ideology, or it's about, whether you should wear a mask or not wear a mask, whether you should open up or not open up, or whether you all that, but it's the same conversation.
Oh,
think about it. Right? It's like,
right.
Yeah. I'm a metal, right? Like, okay, well, I like country. Yeah, country sucks. You suck because of the country. It's the same thing. It's like we're in high school on the internet.
I never thought of
that. Right. And
it's the same feelings that come up.
Right.
Those same feelings come up. That's interesting. Huh.
Yeah. And like, this is so where I even take this is into the language of addiction. I'm noticing it looks the same as addiction. People holding on to and not surrendering to someone else's point of view. They're holding on tight to their perspective, no matter what, because they've gotten addicted to that position. They've gotten addicted to metal. They've got addicted to country. They've got addicted to whatever political position, whatever ideological position, whatever all this, instead of going, it's still just music. And the reason why we listen to it is because it's a way we express ourselves. It's having different opinions that makes amazing music. And if we'd never have mashups. We'd never have, like these cool combinations of Cowboy Troy and Big and Rich and, like Fat and Linkin Park and all this stuff where they'd be willing to go, hey, let's put some rap and some metal. Let's, like all these things that never would have happened. And it was guys like obviously Steven Tyler and where they did Walk This Way.
Run DMC.
Run DMC. I was thinking Dr. Dre. But like those are the people who are willing to drop and surrender to the possibility that, my chocolate and your peanut butter can mix together.
Yeah.
And I long for that to happen right now in what's going on, because we become more polarized than ever before. This isn't disco sucks and metal rules or whatever, because that's pretty benign. We're getting into some very malignant territory in the way things are happening, and it looks like addiction to me.
Yeah, one of the things I learned that I take away from Landmark Forum was stop being right. Stop holding on to like, I'm right and you're wrong. And that's still difficult for me.
Well, because we have evidences as humans. That's what we do. Like we see a thing and we have something in our psychology called confirmation bias, which basically means if we have a belief, we're going to conform all of our evidences, all of the experiences around that. Right. So it seems like we're right.
Well, we are right.
We are based on our right. And so the where the surrender comes in is the possibility that we both can be right.
Two rights at the same time.
And that's where power comes, because now it's accepting from someone else's position. Because like I use the example, and it's just my example because I live it. Full disclosure, I am a gun owner. Right. I grew up around guns. I was a New York State carry permit. I have a Florida carry. I don't walk around carrying guns all the time, but I could if I wanted to.
Right.
My point is that people who believe that guns are bad would say the NRA, and you'll hear it, the NRA is like this evil, lobby thing, and whatever your position is, there are people who think that. Right.
And they have data to back, and they do have data to back it up for sure too. Right. Everybody has their data.
Well, of course. Right.
Yeah.
But I don't belong to the NRA. Right. I'm not defending or anything, but my belief is that the people at the NRA aren't thinking, oh, it'd be great. Let's make guns available so that they can kill random people. Like they're not thinking that, right? Their belief is if you as a citizen have the ability to defend yourself, to keep yourself safe, we want to be sure you always have that ability. Now, not getting to the minutia of, well, you should have X amount of bullets and X amount of clips and they are whatever. None of that. Let's take that out of the conversation for the moment. I also believe the people who are anti-gun don't sit there and go, it would be awesome having everyone defenseless so that they could be easily killed. Their reason behind it is because they believe that if there are no guns, everyone will be safe. So if we could just go, so let's agree that we both want each other to be safe. Could we agree on that? Now now we could have a conversation on how we get there, but let's not demonize each other and make each other wrong for the process by which we want to experience the same outcome. Because that's like getting mad at someone for driving a Volkswagen Beetle instead of a Ford Mustang. I'm still getting from point A to point B. Does it really make a difference whether I take that car and I take that scenic route or whether I get on the parkway? And it's such an interesting thing because I see it like as we grow up, it's like, man, I'm feeling like a kid again because I'm seeing people argue over this like stuff that's so like, man, it's okay to have a different opinion.
I like that you found the common ground to agree on something. That's an interesting perspective. I never thought of that. Like, all right, so I differ on politics with this person. He sees A, I see B, but where do we agree? Yeah. Right. I mean, let's start there. That's a good starting point.
Right. Because now at least we're not demonizing because it's, I mean, think about it. Whenever someone's in a fight Have you ever been in a spirited debate with someone you care about?
Oh, for sure.
And sometimes we say things that we don't mean because we're all charged and we make it about that person, and those wounds can last.
Yeah.
What I found for me is like, you know what? Before I say something, what's my outcome? Like, how do I want to feel right now? Like, if it weren't, so it's about the being right. Like, do I want to be right now? Like, and even if I am, what's more important? I want to feel love right now. I want to feel connected. I want to feel like I have an opportunity to give. If I come from this place of anger, of righteousness, self-righteousness, if I come from that, I'll be ineffective at my ultimate goal, which is to feel love, to feel connected, to feel, that the deepest, the most important need, the love and connection, rather than the certainty of being right or the significance of, like having the loudest voice or the strongest point. And then if we take that out further, when we have friends who we differ on politics or on a position or whatever, go, look, rather than, because people make people wrong, unfortunately, instead of going, I may not agree with you, but I know where you're coming from is from a good place. I know I get where you're coming from, that you want to feel safe. You want to feel love. You want whatever it is, the ultimate outcome, but it's very hard to get there when you're being pissed off. Like, again, I know it's a charged subject, but like right now with the rioting that's going on, like, this is going to cause more damage ultimately. And I understand people are freaking out and they're full of pain and they have every right to feel what they feel. The question becomes, what's the ultimate outcome? What do we really want? And how are we going to get there? And let's talk about what we really want. And then we could have a conversation about what's the best course of action.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to have that conversation when someone's screaming and freaking out. Sorry, we went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I can't touch that.
Well, because there's no,
let me ask you this.
You can't, because it's so charged.
It's so charged. But I want to go back into addiction and people being and people being right. Do you think that if someone's arguing their point, that in itself is an addiction because they're getting high off of and off of the argument is creating something in their brain?
Yes,
chemicals in their brain that is getting them off.
100%. That's why we're seeing this happen on social media. No matter what your position is, people can get off on being right. They can be all charged and they get adrenaline. They get their endorphins going, and they get
Dude, I got charged last week. I got so frustrated. I went on Facebook and I la 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 la.
Yeah.
Well, I deleted a couple of words from there. Eventually after an hour, but I was charged, and then I went back on, and a lot of people were co-signing, which felt good. You know what I mean? It's like, and that is something in the brain, and I don't know.
Well, and the other danger that's happening is, for some, is I've actually seen this happen where people are inviting people to defriend them, not follow them, or saying, if you believe X, Y, and Z, F you, I don't want anything to do with you. Feel free to delete, or I will delete you, kind of thing.
Right. Dating
and the
apps are
problem
like that.
with that is that now you're creating a vacuum. And that would be like, in a band kind of going, hey, Beans, I don't like the way you were playing that beat. I'm not listening to, like, well, yeah, but you're a vital part of the music. Like, that dissonance, when you turn the beat around, when you actually started playing that polyrhythm, actually made the song better. Yeah. Now, just because you don't like it, if you don't like a blue note, if you don't like the, turning the beat around, that's a separate conversation. But don't not play with me anymore. But
I did. Speaking of music, I did a song, punk band out of LA. A friend of mine said, "Can you record drums?" I said, "Sure, yeah. I have mics set up. I'm using Logic." So he sends me the song, and I hear what I hear, and then I record it, and the build up and the fill was all 16th notes, and I was like, "Oh, this is great." And then he comes back to me and goes, "Yeah, those all those notes you're playing is too much. Can you make it more like boom, 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 boom. Okay, I'll do that. And he was right. Actually, it sounded better. But maybe in the past, when I was 17, 18 years old, I would have been like, no, I'm right. I'm the drummer here.
Yes, I've seen that where people have argued their part.
Yeah.
Well, okay, is this better for the song or is this better for you?
Right.
Because oftentimes, there are times where someone goes, yeah, this is my time where I could do, how hard it is to do that 16th notes and do that fill of that. I mean, that is badass. Like no one can do that. So yeah, I want it in there. Right. Like, yeah, totally. But let's find another song to do that in. Cause for this one, I hear it more like this. And oh, by the way, I wrote it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've had to deal with that your whole music, your whole career, probably in producing and sitting behind the board.
That was how I originally got into NLP, was to help create a better space for people to get along and to get the best out of everybody.
Yeah.
So I could understand the thought process, so I could meet them where they were at, so I could be able to reframe, so I could diffuse any of those experiences so that everyone would give their best. Work great with working with vocalists, including myself, but to help get them into the right state, to be more vulnerable, to be more expressive, to, surrender to what they think it should sound like, as opposed to what would be like a new, creative, inventive, innovative way to sing that part. And that was, a lot of the work that I did originally. It started out on myself, right? Dealing with a messed up relationship, it wasn't, obviously I'm divorced as well. And I was like, I got to learn what my role is. My first experience in personal development was when I was 17, and I applied Tony Robbins cassettes to get the success and make what I made happen in music. And then I was like, okay, I got to take personal responsibility, and how am I communicating? And then as I learned more about how I communicated, how others communicated, then I was like, okay, let me see if I, just use this to help with music. And now obviously took it to the next level, going on with Road with Tony, being working in the field of addiction, right? For 8 years, worked in addiction, helping people create a life worth being sober for.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
It's all the same. Watching people struggle with putting heroin down is the same as watching someone try and put their phone down and stop commenting and trolling and, getting pissed off because so-and-so said something and blah, blah, blah. And then getting the little hits of, bits of information, short, bursts
and the
of
endorphins
dopamine. Yeah. Yeah, well, so it is. It's dopamine. Like, can you believe so-and-so said blah, blah, blah?
Yeah.
Right. And now, by the way, I'm not minimizing what people are commenting on, because there are things that are legit and need to be addressed. All I'm saying is that it's okay for people to have a different opinion than yours. That's the only conversation that I'm going. I believe that everyone it's their truth, and that's great. And the way we solve these challenges is by finding something to agree on, by asking better questions.
And you know what? And that's probably one of the reasons why Joe Rogan is so successful.
Yeah.
I just jumped into something else, but like Joe Rogan, he really strives for that.
Yeah.
Asking questions and not, he's on a side, but he listens and,
right. And
he'll change his mind.
With all humility, that's, like I look at Joe as a great model. I'm just launching this podcast, but, he's part of what has inspired me to make it happen again, because he's able to create a space to have those conversations. And I'm, delicately finding a way to do that, because I'm a common sensitive. I want to be pragmatic and think through things. I'm a registered independent. I'm a learned person in personal development. I love people, and my mission is to help make this world a better place. And that's not a clean, simple, black and white conversation. And my goal is to hopefully get people to try on other perspectives in all areas, like we experienced in music. I used to hate everything but metal, and now I love everything with passion.
Yeah. I'm recently been getting schooled in hip hop. It's been awesome. Like modern hip hop.
Yeah.
It's cool, man.
And it's funny watching our daughter's 5, watching her pick up like what music she enjoys and what shapes her choices and so forth. And, on a music note, like she's 5, and she's got amazing intonation. She writes songs like off the fly. She just sings about random stuff. She's got great vibrato, like really impressive bits of tonality. Like she's got a really good instrument at 5. I mean,
that's cool.
She was singing, Joe Groon.
Of course.
Yeah. So speaking of Joe yesterday, Joe's amazing, super talented musician too. He called me yesterday and Ellie started singing for him. And he was like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, like I could hear her vibrato over the phone. And it was fun. Like she just loves to sing and perform.
You'll have to maybe send me Joe's information. I'd like to text him at some point and say hi. I haven't spoken to him in 25 years or so.
Right?
We live together.
That's right. Yes, I think that's how I originally met you guys
in Massapequa.
So Rob DiMartino and we were in a band together. Rob was living there, and that's how I met Chris, you, and Joe.
Was Rob living with us at the time? I don't know.
Maybe so he was probably living there before you got there.
Right. Yeah, probably. Gosh, I don't know.
So he was there with Chris and Joe because you moved in and Chris and Joe were already there, right?
I might have moved out by that time.
Oh, maybe you moved out. Okay.
Yeah.
Funny.
Moved back in with the parents. Go back to college. That's what I did.
Yeah. How'd that work out?
Well, I got a record contract with Rick and To the Moon Alice, and then we moved to Woodstock and went on tour for a couple of years. And
have you spoken to Leslie? She toured with Yanni for a little bit.
Yeah, that's the last time I saw Rick was at LA Forum. I went to go see Leslie. Yeah. And I saw Rick there.
Yeah, he was good. I don't know if he still lives down here. I haven't bumped into him. I heard one of my friends had met him, but I reached out to him. He didn't get back to me.
But yeah, I texted with Leslie maybe a few months ago.
She seems to be doing well. She's in Nashville.
Yeah.
I saw Maria Christensen, saw her. She's got family around here. So I saw her for lunch the other day. You remember her?
How about Lucia?
I talked to her on Instagram. That's about it.
Cool.
Because she's in LA now, right? Or Germany or something. Who knows?
I have no idea. I just see her on Instagram too.
Yeah. Well, we've had quite the experience.
Yeah, and do you know Angus Clark, guitar player?
I know the name.
He plays he's been in TSO with Al for the last 15 or so
in the West
years.
Coast version.
But he played,
right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I think it was West Coast. And I mentioned him because he was in drill for like a hot minute.
Okay.
Back in I think 96.
So maybe yes. Yeah, because I worked on those records too.
And the Fat record, right?
Yeah. I toured with them.
What'd you do?
I took Paul's place. Mark's place after Mark left.
Playing what?
Bass.
I don't know. I'm like, Mark. Wait, Russell?
Yeah.
Went on tour with them?
Mark played for a little while. Yeah. So Paul left and then Mark played for a while and then I took over and then I went on the road with him. We played quite a bit. Yeah.
That was one of those bands that came so close.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. It was one of my most, proud records to be part of because I was like obviously full on in with those guys. And then, I still talk to all of them.
Great songs.
Oh yeah.
Really good songs.
And it's funny. So Gareth is in Blue Man Group. He's a music director in Orlando. Adrian now he's been doing radio. He's crushing it. He's in, I think he lives in Vegas now.
Really?
Yeah. And he's on the air. And he was in San Diego. Huh?
What station?
I forget. Look him up. He's syndicated. He's on a bunch.
Wow.
And then Paul is in England or Spain or whatever now.
Mm.
And then Mike Boyko is doing Tempo in Motion. He's going to be on the show.
Right.
He's
that's cool.
Amazing. Again, look how he's repurposing the music philosophy. He's using it in golf.
That's amazing.
Like, it's just,
that is
when
really
we
cool.
Get on our path and we stay true to our core, we can still be different in our approach. We don't have to be the rock stars that we originally hoped ourselves to be, but we can still have the same impact. And that's what's so beautiful about like anything in life, is that you could still be true to your core, still be authentic, have an incredible impact. It just isn't going to be maybe the way you thought it was going to be when you were, a teenager.
And you know what? I actually feel blessed maybe that I didn't become that big rock star that I wanted to be. Who knows?
Right?
Who knows what would have happened? I'm in a good place. You seem to be in a good place too.
I am so blessed, and to continue to have conversations like this and to have, the history and celebrate it, not lament it. Yeah. It's like we've had some incredible experiences in life, and we use them for good. Love it.
I remember. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We've been going for like an hour and a half. I was thinking we were going to start wrapping up, but if you
All
guys,
right, let's wrap up.
No. What are you going to say?
Okay. I just wanted to say, when To the Moon Alice, in '98, we had done some demos, and you recorded and produced those demos, and they sound so good to this day. And I think the production and the sound and everything that you did on those songs, there was like 4 or 5 songs that you did. They were so good. We wound up getting dropped. I don't know what happened, but I remember I was so impressed with your skills at that time, because it had been like 2 or 3 years since I've heard anything that you were doing, and you just kind of went from a level, I don't know, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10. Production wise and everything, like maybe you were at like a 5, but you went like within like a year or two, you just like goose it up to like 10, and it sounds so good. Still, these songs, they just sound so good. So
thank you. I mean,
I think about that sometimes. I'm like, man, that stuff sounds so good. And Doug was so good at that,
Well, thank you.
And then I ran into you at UPW. I didn't even know you were. I don't think I knew you were doing anything with Tony.
Wait, when we bumped each other, was I working with him at the time? I think I was. Yes, I was, because I remember,
because we did. You helped me along with the firewalk.
Yeah. So that's funny. Yeah, I remember. Yes, I remember bumping into you, and I was so happy to see you there. Like, you got yourself, like, you were on that path, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like, to just, it's like a deepening of a kindred spirit, like just that curiosity.
And we celebrated together, and it was like celebrating with you.
Yeah.
It's like I got to celebrate this experience that I was going through, this transformation, and a good friend of mine who I hadn't seen in years was there with me.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was a magical magical thing.
So yeah, I mean, that again, there's another part of our continued journey of awesome, like, presence.
Yeah.
Right. Like meant to be. Like, I don't believe that, these are accidents, the experiences that we have and the people we connect with and the way we touch, move, and inspire others is brilliant, and at that point, so had you done Landmark before Tony and then you got into Tony?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did it the other way. I did Tony first. My first event ever was a UPW, and then I got into Landmark.
Cool. Yeah, I thought about reviewing Landmark Forum in February, and I kept putting, I'll do it next month, and obviously not doing it at the moment.
Yeah.
But when it comes to stuff like that, we talk about surrender. I'm all in. Yep. I surrender to that moment. I'm at UPW. I'm surrendering to it, and Landmark and meditation too. Even though it's for 20 minutes, I'm all in. I'm surrendering to it.
Well, I'm going to do a little plug right now for myself. And so you could do this. Go to guidedhypnotic.com, guidedhypnotic.com, guidedhypnotic.com. And you could download a free guided meditation. I have a whole series. I got 13 different meditations. I have a whole package, but that's a free one. It's 35 minutes long, but great for relaxing. It's called an anxiety buster.
Oh, cool. Wait, so tell me that website again. I just got it back online.
Guidedhypnotic.com.
God. Cool. I'll check it out.
Yeah. So it's just a cool free 35-minute session. And
did you put it up on YouTube?
Power of that. Huh?
Is that up on YouTube as well?
No. Is that one on YouTube? It might be.
The free one.
The free one? So truth be told, it's part of, and you'll start doing this too as you grow your truemusiclessons.com. It's a lead magnet. So what I want is for you to download it so that then I can like offer, hey, do you want more? Here's how you could, get the package. So we could, go down another time, a whole marketing conversation, because, we have something to offer people, but if they don't know about it, and if I can't get more info out to you to just hope that you're going to go on YouTube and find it, that's great. But if I can now follow up with you, because I know you downloaded this, and say, hey, you like that? Here's another opportunity. Check this out.
I'm definitely going to contact you about marketing, online marketing, because that's the next step.
Yep.
For True Music Lessons. How am I going to start marketing this?
Well, I definitely can help you and definitely connect you with masters, because I am by no means that I've gotten as far as I can with that. And now Heidi and I are starting to outsource, because Heidi's got her program. I've got my program. We've got our program. And then I've got the guided hypnotic is one of the ways to learn more about Freedom Hack and all the work that I do.
Cool.
That's what we do. And then Heidi and I, we have our family program for families who have loved ones struggling with addiction.
Amazing.
Because right now it's an interesting time, and people who are, under the pressure, they end up going back to old patterns.
Yeah.
So what you did was brilliant. You created a new pattern that was empowering, right? You created truemusiclessons.com as a new focus, as a new way to keep yourself from going, what the F?
That's exactly right.
Right? It's way better to be working on your project than looking on social media. You're on the computer anyway. I'd rather be looking at things and like ways to market, ways to build my business, ways to connect with others than connect with like Woundology, to connect with people on pain. Yeah, F this, F that, screw them, screw that. Like, it's just, that's a drug that I want no part in. And I've been guilty of, to some extent, talking about it. But again, from my perspective, when I get involved, is to hopefully get people to open up. And I would love to, I'm open to other people's opinions. I just come from a place of love and do my best to be sure that that's the forefront. That have a position, that's fine. I don't believe that your position is, with ill intent. Let's just look at other ways to do this. Like I remember in music, we would do all sorts of wacky stuff to get some cool sounds, like throwing up an amp and then putting a fan in front of it and then putting a mic behind the fan so you could hear it through the fan. Like, who would do that? Someone said, what are you doing? Like, I think it's going to be cool. Like, it's going to be I had so many different pedals, right? Like I have a big bag full of all these cool pedals, and we would do some really wacky sounds, right? I remember one time we did this cool thing. Russ DeSalvo was playing, and his part is about to come up, and I just reached over, I unplugged his guitar so that I could re-plug it in and get the before he hits the chords. And that made the record. Like that was the like it was, but like if someone said, what are you doing? You don't unplug a guitar in the middle of a take. I'm like, well,
why not?
Yeah. You never know what you're going to get if you try something different. That's like another perspective, because we wanted to make it more dramatic, and that was dramatic.
That's how I feel about painting. I'm no painter, or I mean, I am a painter, but why not? Why not just take this color and just slime it like that? What would happen? Why not?
Do you have some of your art like on a website, or do you just post it on Facebook here? What do you do with it?
Yeah, I post it on Instagram.
Okay. Cool. So
what's your Instagram? I think I have a piece that I just posted on my story on Facebook. It's up right now.
Okay. Well, why
Something
don't
I
you
did
share?
there.
Let's get some ways to get in touch with you so that we can, help you
Okay.
further.
Yeah, you can follow me at on Facebook, Mike Benigno. I guess it's Mike.Benigno, but I'm friends with you, Doug. So you can find me through there, or you can like my truemusiclessons.com page. That's another way. Yeah, you can follow me. And
Got Instagram.
there'll be Mike Beans Benigno on Instagram. Mike Beans Benigno Instagram. Also True Music Lessons on Instagram, and soon to be on YouTube too. I'm going to start making videos. Just talking about music, and that this is a new hurdle that I have to overcome, seeing myself on video and talking to the camera.
You just did this for an hour and 40 minutes without a problem. I think you're going to do just fine.
Thanks. This has been great, Doug. Thank you so much, man.
Dude, thank you.
You're a beautiful man. It's so good to see you.
You too. So this was like our hang, like just getting together and just catching up anyway. And I believe it added some value to others, because everyone right now is looking for a way to get their lives to the next level, to live, love, give, laugh even more, to celebrate their life. And you're an amazing exemplar of doing so. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Awesome, brother. Well, I love you for who you are and who you aren't. Let's sign off here. And
okay. And we'll talk to you.
If you haven't shared this already on Facebook, you can go ahead, because it looks like it's been going live the whole time.
I'm gonna share it.
All right, brother.
For sure.
Talk to you in a bit.
Take care.
Love you too, man. Peace.
Bye.